Okay, I got the green light. We're live.
Hi, Dean. How you doing?
It's good to see you again, Dean.
Hi, guys. Sit down.
Hi, guys. And we're going to try to be happy, just like Dean Martin, Peter Sellers, Nicky Russell, and Tom
Hi,
Gillespie.
Dean.
So the poll is, who hates Jesus more, Mike or Watchtower? That's the question. If you were to have to say, hey, who hates Jesus more, who would you say? So I guess, Jesse, we're trying to mind our own business, right? But then you send me an email and you say, Gilbert, you got to see this video. And I went ahead and made a small clip of it. Now, we did a video earlier about how Mike is calling Jesus a turd polisher.
Mm-hmm. I always thought he was a carpenter.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about that while I work on this?
Yeah. Hey, Beverly's in the house.
Okay.
Say hello, Beverly. Yeah. And there's no mistaking about it. Now, I didn't watch the video. I didn't go and do research on it, but he's almost borderline. You know, we're all conversationalists across the fruited plain. Mm-hmm. We, since Abraham Lincoln, we belong to a party that likes to debate things. And sometimes we fight like men, we fight, we have back and forths. Like you were talking to me about Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson debating and fighting. And sometimes it gets real vicious on our side, on the right side, on the conservative side. But every once in a while, we have men who are not really men, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And they can't handle a intellectual conversation. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where Mike Brooks is at. I really think he's borderline. The teapot has popped.
Yeah, his hate has overtaken him. And let's just go over these three clips of Mike Brooks. And this guy hates Jesus more than Watchtower, in my opinion.
What's the difference between them and Jesus Christ?
Them will be the governing body.
They don't know what they're doing?
Well, let me read Matthew chapter 16, verse 24. Then Jesus said to his disciples, if anyone wants to come after me, let him disown himself and pick up his torture stake and continually follow me. For whoever wants to save his soul will lose it, but whoever loses his soul for my sake will find it. For what benefit is it of a man if he gains the whole world but forfeits his soul? Well, what will a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man is destined to come in the glory of the Father with his angels, and then he will recompense. Oh, you mean judgment and fear? Do you see the fear-mongering? See? Recompense.
So he's equating Jesus and Watchtower as both as fear-mongers.
One, according to his behavior. Fear. Here's verse 28. Truly, I say to you, that there are some of those standing here that will not taste death at all until first they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. How many of those people are still alive today and Jesus hasn't returned for the recompense? Not a single one. False prophet, just like the Jehovah's.
Just like the Jehovah's, Jesus is a false prophet.
Yeah, now this is very important because Mike is going to probably cry. I don't think he's open mouth, insert foot. He has to accept it now. He is anti-Christ. He's calling Jesus a false prophet. Mm-hmm. And he's borderline. He's not. We care about him because he wants to. He's the one who always talks about community. Mm-hmm. He brings up community. He's the one who preaches community. We can't be in commune with this man. You cannot be in commune with this man.
No, he's dangerous. He's dangerous. He's a very dangerous person because he's not happy with you just leaving Watchtower. He wants to destroy your faith in Jesus Christ and somebody else. And we're going to talk about that. I'll let you talk about that. But we're not going to let this Matthew 16 go. He says at the very end, Truly I say to you, and he gets mad at that. And he says, some of you here. And then he says that the people that were there listening to Jesus all the way to modern day, the 2,000 years, it was all a lie. Well, I was thinking about that. And I thought, well, remember Stephen stoned? He wasn't stoned with marijuana, but Stephen stoned, and he gives this speech. We all know the speech that he gave, right? When they heard these things, he gave the speech from the beginning up to the end of Jesus Christ, right? Beginning of mankind all the way to Jesus Christ. And when they heard these things, they hold on. So Stephen must have been there when Jesus heard those said those words in Matthew 16. Stephen was probably there. So when they heard these things, they were cut to the heart, the religious leaders, and they gnashed at him with their teeth. But he, being full of Holy Spirit, gazed into heaven and saw the glory of God, and Jesus standing at the right hand of God, and said, look, I see the heavens open and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. Then that's when they ripped out their shirts. And when he started doing that, do you remember? Let me get back over here. Do you remember when Stephen was doing that and gave that speech? When he pointed to Jesus Christ, like Mike and Kim, Mike, he just went blasphemy. So this is the difference. We can, as Christians, say, well, no, Mike, Stephen was probably there in Matthew 16. And right before he died, he saw Jesus Christ in heaven. And I'm going to ask you this, Jesse, do you think mom and dad saw Jesus before they died? Now, this is the difference where we believe we are men of faith. We have faith, right? We believe in Jesus through faith. Mike wants to see a YouTube video of Jesus Christ. He wants to see the YouTube video, and he wants Steve Hassan to agree with him and these other guys and all of these namers. And he wants to read some book where there's, who knows? But he wants tangible proof. He wants somebody to record it on their iPhone, right? And see the old man dying. He says, I see Jesus Christ. And then he dies a few moments later. And then he wants to know if the guy was on medication. He wants to get a blood analysis. He's a physical man. He's not a spiritual man. And so this guy believes that Jesus Christ owes him an answer, that Jesus Christ has to prove to him how those words are going to be carried out. When I just said, well, when Mike makes that accusation and he calls Jesus a false prophet and a liar, I'm like, no, Stephen saw Jesus Christ before he died. Just like Jesus says, some of you here are going to see. And Stephen was one of them. And in my experience, unfortunately, now that I'm getting older, with a lot of people that, you visit before they die, they tell you, or you see that they saw Jesus Christ. You hear things, right, from the relatives. And so this is by faith. But he doesn't understand that. And he wants to destroy your faith, kind of like the Jehovah's Witnesses. So not only does Mike destroy your faith in Jesus Christ, so do Jehovah's Witnesses in a lot of ways. They destroy they don't want you to believe in Christmas. They don't want you to participate in Easter. They don't want you to eat from the sacraments. So in a lot of ways, in my opinion, Mike hates Jesus more than Watchtower, because Watchtower just takes away your Christmas. But our brother-in-law, he tells you that he believes in Jesus Christ. Every Jehovah's Witness that you would interview on the street believes in Jesus Christ. This guy goes above and beyond and wants to make it a point that he's going to prove to you that Jesus is a liar, quoting Matthew 16. And I'm just simply, I don't get mad. I just say, well, Acts 7, to me, proves that the words of Jesus Christ came true. In Stephen, in the famous account of that we all know. Go ahead.
And there's different interpretations. You brought up Stephen. Some people will interpret it that the transfiguration was a few days later, if I stand corrected. See, I'm not a researcher.
Mm-hmm.
I know by instinct.
Mm-hmm.
We know right from wrong. We know that the wind is going to come. We know the rains are going to come. We know by instinct as human beings. We know the difference between right and wrong. Some people have to go research everything because they don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? It's like during COVID, the test of COVID. A lot of people say that COVID-19 was really an IQ test. I knew we didn't have to wear a mask. I didn't wear a mask. I knew I didn't have to get jabby-yabbied. I knew that I didn't have to social distance. I knew I didn't have to listen to Dr. Fucci.
Mm-hmm.
I knew all that stuff instinct. I knew I could take hydroxychloroquine. I knew I could take ivermectin. I knew I wasn't going to allow nobody in my family to go to the hospital. We were going to go to our private doctor. We knew this stuff instinctively. We didn't have to research. We knew it.
I'm listening.
This gentleman, he gets angrier the more he researches. Why? Because he really doesn't know nothing. It's evident to everybody in the creation that Jesus Christ is King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And in Western civilization, our engine of Western civilization just does not operate well without Jesus Christ. It would be like putting diesel fuel in a gasoline engine. It just doesn't work. And
Correct.
Mike is one. And if you look at Mike's rants against Jesus Christ, he doesn't elevate anybody around him.
Uh-uh.
He gives no alternative. He gives nothing. He's just, let's live for today. And in it, you can interpret it. You could see his epitaph on the man's face. It's anger and nothingness. It's a void.
Mm-hmm.
And he oozes negative energy. And the reason we talk about it is because he's the one who brings up community. He's the one who says that there's an XJW community. And we say, okay, touche, Mike. Touche. There's an XJW community. But we have nothing in common with you. We won't be in communion with you. And you have crossed the line of decency. Not only are you Judas Iscariot, but now you want to be Benedict Arnold.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll get that to later. But the point is, like, going back to what you say, Jesse, every document that every president has signed since George Washington up till today ends with what words? Do you know? It ends with the words, the name of the president, and it says the date, and then it says the year of our Lord. Every document, every American document that the president signs, it puts down the year of our Lord. So even the Chinese accept that we live in 2025, the year of our Lord. And this guy's trying to tell you that Jesus Christ is a false prophet, that everything he said was false. He's a liar. So remember that scene? Maybe I should pick it up in the Soup Nazi at Seinfeld. He goes, and George Costanza's trying to talk a little bit too much in the soup line, and then he goes, "You're pushing your luck, little man." I mean, don't you think calling Jesus Christ a liar and a false prophet to a religious group known as Jehovah's Witnesses is pushing it just a little bit too far? Now, I want to say this before we go on to the second video. A lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses leave. Some leave and they're gay. Guys are gay. They're like, "Hi, guys, I'm a gay. And they talk about the sexual acts that they like to do. Some women come out, they're lesbians. Right? Other people come out and they say, "Look, I'm a guy and I painted my nails black." Or they like to dye their hair and whatever. And other guys like to tell everybody their sexual dark secrets that, "Hey, I'm married, but I'm gay and I swing both ways." Like, who does that? But in the YouTube community, in the YouTube world of Jehovah's Witnesses, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, a lot of people openly talk about their stuff. But I find it very interesting that all of these people, even some men who don't, ex-Jehovah's Witness men, who don't know that men can get pregnant, they still think, I think I could get pregnant. But anyways, these people have one thing in common. Not one of them have I heard are out there fighting Jesus Christ. They may be smoking weed. They may be growing weed. They may know every drug known to mankind, and they openly talk about all of the hallucinogenics that they've taken. We see the whole gambit in the ex-Jehovah's Witness. We've seen the born-again Christians. We've seen the Bible scholars. We've seen left, right, everything. But along comes a man who say, no, no, no. I'm not content. I want to beat up Jesus. Where other guys just say, no, I just want to have sex. I just want to smoke weed. I mean, am I going too far here? Of all the things that you can spend your time doing, do you really want to spend your time fighting Jesus Christ? I mean, am I wrong here? Was that a bad analogy that I was doing? Or
No, I think it's very appropriate because
Hmm.
why does Mike have to come out and attack Jesus Christ? Now, we would venture to believe in our private conversation is that if a Jehovah's Witness, and going back to the community
Yeah.
sounds like, doesn't he sound like Stephen Lett?
Mhm.
The community. He's man, he's got the same spirit as Stephen Lett,
Mhm.
but the same dumb spirit.
Mhm.
But when he brings that up, the community, when a Jehovah's Witness stumbles across his rants, like Mikey, Kimmy does great videos. She comes out with great information.
Yeah.
But when you come on Mikey's rants, he scares small children and pets. I bet you if a Jehovah's Witness has a toy poodle, I bet you she runs into the cabinet and hides.
Well, that goes back to my theory, and this is a theory of mine. If you're a Jehovah's Witness and you believe in Jesus Christ, it's better for you to stay in your religion than to be like Mike Brooks, who is actively out there promoting that Jesus Christ is a false prophet and a liar. I'm just saying, or if you want to leave, just leave and go do something else.
Yeah.
And just go.
Or
yeah.
But to bring that up time and time again every week, and it comes up on your feed, you have to say, hey, you don't represent the majority of the Jehovah's Witness. You might have 2,000 or 3,000 sycophants. 2,000 or 3,000 sycophants. Yeah, Mikey, whatever you say.
Hey,
remember,
Mikey.
like in the Frank Sinatra in the Saturday night, Saturday Night Live, and who was it? Edie Gourmet and Stevie Lawrence would come out. You tell him, Frank. He goes, get off on me. Quit feeding on me. Or like those guys on Cool Hand Luke. Remember, they were always feeding on Paul Newman?
Yeah.
Stop feeding on me. So he has a lot of sycophant followers. And for some reason, he's empowered by knocking on Jesus. And something interesting that I always thought, what are the two things that Jehovah's Witnesses and Mike Brooks have in common? They love to lower America, and they love to lower Jesus Christ.
But
Those
are two things. And we're going to hold off on that. Just keep that thought because you're going to have it. I'm going to give it to you. But I have to.
Like you.
Oops. Okay, can you hear it?
That's what Dennis A. Contempt for the audience. All right, what about the chick's head, Luther?
Well, be honest, man. I don't care about the head. I like the butt.
Okay, this is the part
I
that
hear you, baby,
were talking
loud
about.
and clear. Forget the head. Put a bag over it and do your business.
Yeah.
Does he go to Edie
Well,
yet?
am I right,
Yeah.
Edie? You bet, Frank.
Those are Mike Brooks
You were a little slow
followers.
that time.
Sorry.
Sorry, Frank.
Sorry, forget
You
it. You're
tell
all
him,
right.
Mike.
You can pick up a check once in a while.
You
You can pick up a check every once in a while.
Yeah. I hit the unmute. But that's the thing, a lot of you Mike Brooks followers, sycophants. Yeah, Mike, you tell him Jesus is a false prophet. Yeah, Mike, Jesus is a liar. That's some of you guys.
You know what they're like? They're like the followers of Bill Maher.
Yeah.
Or Dr. What was that guy's name? Robert Gates. Or what was his name? Bill Gates?
Yeah.
If we reduce the population of the earth by 2015.
And then he talks about, and then he opens up the mosquito jar, and the mosquitoes go out there, and everybody like,
Yeah.
No, they do like this. But anyways, let's go on to number 2, and then we'll give you the stage on the America.
When they've been proven over and over and over and over again that generation of 1914 is dead and gone, just like the people standing there hearing Jesus' words that said, truly, truly. In other words, for a fact, I'm telling you the truth. Jesus himself says, truly, I say to you, There are some of those standing here that will not taste death at all until first they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Well, that kingdom comes with verse 27. Recompense each one according to their behavior. That did not happen any more than Armageddon came within the lifetime of the generation in 1914. They all control through fear. Nothing more, nothing to follow this crap when they've been proven over and
Wow. So I must have recorded the same thing twice. I don't know. I'm sorry. I thought it were two separate clips, or doesn't matter. So let's just go to the other one about the Americas.
that pronouncement without having to slaughter his own son. They don't get it. But you know what else was interesting? Once the crowd got all worked up about that, I said, but you guys realize that the United States of America worships the divine feminine? And oh my God, they started again. The five-pointed star, Venus. Simple.
Wow. And you know what? I kind of looked it up a little bit, and there was this guy who wrote on his website, and he was just debunking the stupidity that just because the Statue of Liberty has this, or just because you saw some pagan similarities, he goes, you're all full of shit. He goes, and then he was talking about how the guy who sculpted or made the Statue of Liberty, right, the designer, where he was from, and then they go to his hometown, and then there's this statue where it has, those, the thing on her head, right? And so he gets inspiration from where he's from, and it was just going. It was debunking the stupidity that just saying that, that everything is pagan, or that, just because you saw a 5-star in something in the United States, that, oh my God, he's saying that all 330 million of you Americans are pagan worshipers of the feminine god. What stupidity. And might I say that the two most beautiful coins on the earth are the American Liberty, but that's number 2, and the Mexican Libertad, because she doesn't have a top on. She's naked.
She's topless.
She's topless. But
she's not double D. She's just naturally contoured. Yeah.
So, but go ahead. And so, but that's the point. So Mike is not happy and content with calling you stupid for believing in Jesus Christ. He's also saying that you're an idolater because you are an American. He hates America. He just called all of you worshipers of the female divine. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's not a rational human being. He's not rational in any sense of the. You can't hold an intellectual conversation with this man. I would be afraid to be in a debate with this guy in the same room. He's not. I mean, he's got red flag law all over it, man. I wouldn't be like, he goes to these barbecues or these campouts. Nah, man. You'll be asleep at night. He'll get one of them, just chop you right in the head. He'll go helter skelter on you. That guy's way gone. But here's another thing. He's not rational in his thinking. Remember in Los Angeles, there was a guys flying the Mexican flag, and they were saying that California belongs to Mexico. They're not rational. Jesus says to stop calling the things that I have clean, unclean.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for example, Mikey lives in New Mexico. Mm-hmm. So would somebody say, well, Mikey, you know what? You live in Mexico because it's New Mexico. No, it's a state of the United States Republic. It was once part of Mexico. Quit calling it Mexico. It's not part of Mexico. It once was. Stop calling unclean the things that I have clean, Christ talked about. Everything is pagan. Do you know the first fucker who invented fire? He was probably pagan.
Yeah. And look at that, Jesse. So this is the most beautiful, recognizable coin next to the Libertad. So I don't know if Mike is talking about this, but there you go. The points, but the 5 stars. And then on this one, it has more than 5 stars. On the back, it has all those stars, but the 5-pointed star. So does that mean that because of those 5-pointed stars that we're all worshipers of the female divine? When Mike said that, hold on a second. I got to do this.
Well, that's why I said, what do the Jehovah's Witnesses have in common with Mike Brooks? They hate Jesus. They always lower Jesus Christ, the divinity of Christ. Jehovah does that. Mike Brooks does that. And now they both hate America. The Jehovah's Witnesses have always hated America. Now Mike comes out of the closet and he starts bashing on America.
Correct. So when Mike,
hey, Gilbert, we got our own Joe Biden.
Okay. So when Mike Brooks said that all us Americans are worshipers, and he's so smart because he's telling his friends, "Oh, you guys are worshipers of you Americans are worshipers of divine." This is what I would have written.
Mr. Madison, what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
So that's my response to the stupidity of him saying that about the United States. Go ahead.
Gilbert, time out. There's this girl on the chat, on the comment section. Her name is Spiritual Warrior Kitty. And please forgive me. Please forgive me if I misgendered, because I've done that a couple of times where somebody leaves a comment and they're male and I say it's a female and I'm wrong. I saw the word kitty, so I'm assuming it's a female. I should just say a comment person, a person on the comment section. He's saying that I said a bad word.
I think you did.
Okay. But listen, can you explain to people that we're not like Gus Estacio? We're not pastors. You and I were elders at one time. We're not pastors anymore. We like to drink, gamble, fart, say bad words, jokes. We're not Christian pastors. We're not we got our own church. It's called the GG for GB Church. And there's only 2 members, and we don't want you in it.
Oh, yeah, because you said a bad word. Yeah, you said it, not me. And
yeah.
So I warned you about it. But so she's, like leaving. And that's fine. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. And here's the thing. Jesse said the F word, but Mike just told Jehovah's Witnesses that Jesus is a false prophet and a liar and is destroying their faith, not only in Jesus Christ, but destroying their faith in America by saying that America, people that love America are worshiping the what is it? The divine, the
feminine divine.
Divine. Exactly. Divine. So when we go to the Mexican, just because we did talk about it, and we can look at the there it is. Can you see it? The difference between the Mexican and the American one, she's topless. But it's just, it is one of the most recognizable coins, and it always sells this. In this case, it's always selling $10, $20 more than the American. But it's also because they have limited quantities every year. And also because it's the oldest mint in the Americas, North and South. And it's the most coveted. It's the most.
Gilbert, listen, I think I'm going to go on a little rant, and I'm not going to say no bad words, and I apologize. But
but I just wanted to bring that out. Go ahead.
No, that's good, because I like how you exercise your executive authority in the GG for GB. How you said, Jesse, you said a bad words, and I've already warned you. Should I auto asphyxiate myself?
No, go ahead. Okay.
Okay. Anyways, the thing about we were talking about America when Mike talked about the divine feminine, is I think he hurts America in this sense, like he hurts the Jehovah's Witness apostate by slamming on Jesus. Now he could bring up an article, he could bring up the point without calling Jesus a false prophet. I said the F word, but he calls Jesus a false prophet. That's hurtful.
And a liar.
And a liar and a turd polisher.
Turd polisher.
But now he's going against America. And you know my name. Look at my name.
Primero America, huh?
Yeah. America first. That's my name in Spanish. So you have to love your country. And this is the thing about Mike. He says it's the divine feminism. We worship the. You know what? That's a disservice, Gilbert, of all the men and women who have died in protecting these truths that we hold unalienable, that all men are created equal. And think about everybody who died for the United States so that all men could be free, who suffered, who have debated. And then Mike called just to throw all of America under the bus. And then to add insult to injury, when he hears this video, he's going to start crying and say, I didn't say those things. It's right there, black and
right
white.
there. Yeah.
He hates America.
And Jesse, you know, just to get on that girl's case, because she got mad at you because you used a bad word. Yeah, when Mike sees this video, he's going to cry like the bitch that he is, because he wanted to call Jesus a false prophet, a liar, a turd polisher. And then when somebody goes back and punches him and says, hey, listen, people leave the Jehovah's Witness church all the time. Tell them to go find their own way. You don't have to be Lord over them, and you don't have to destroy their faith in Jesus Christ or God or their faith in America. And you know what? The one thing about this channel is different than all those other channels, because we have the love guru here. And so I'm going to show you something that is so crazy. So I showed you the coin, the Mexican coin Libertad, where she's topless. And so Miss Thornbush said it's more comfortable to go topless. And this is where it gets to be a rated X show. And then Ricky Bobby says, I agree, Thornbush. And then she goes, will you please help me with my coconuts? And then he says, I'm on it. And then so she laughs and she says, yes, please help me. And that's his wife. So he's over here talking to his newlywed wife. And so, you know, in our channel, we also delve into the very deep topics of the Jehovah's Witness, daily agenda. But we also take time to, have a little fun, and that's the difference. We can have fun. And if you notice with Mike and Kim, they're just angry people, and they're angry at America and angry at Jesus. So who hates Jesus more, Watchtower or Mike? It's on the poll. Watchtower hates Jesus. They tell you don't celebrate birthdays, don't celebrate Easter, yada, yada, yada. Don't eat from the drink, bread and wine. But then you heard what Mike said.
Gilbert, I was watching the news the other day, and it was Hillary Clinton she was Facebooking or Twittering, and then she had to turn her comment sections off because everybody was correcting her. It got so bad. I saw in the nightly news where Gavin Newsom was at a press conference, and no Democrat has ever questioned Gavin Newsom. But now, since the fires and the riots, and so he's not holding those press conferences like he used to. Donald Trump, he was holding a press conference, and the reporters were saying, just a few minutes ago, you said this, 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 and this. Mike Brooks is questioning Jesus Christ from 2,000 years ago. It was written secondhand. Imagine if Jesus was here today. Mike would be on him like Jim Acosta on CNN News. You can't win with these people. They're angry about everything.
They're angry about everything. They hate him. I mean, no wonder he hates America, He hates
But here's
America.
the thing. Yeah, if you start reading these books that bash on Jesus, if you read bread making books, you're going to make good bread. If you're going to be playing guitar books and reading it, you're going to be good at guitar. If you read books that hate Jesus Christ, you're going to be good at hating Jesus Christ. But what I said, in Western civilization, we didn't need to do any research. And that's why you and I were always talking about that research. Take your research and shove it. I knew instinctively that Jesus is God. You knew instinctively that Jesus is the Son of God. We don't need to do no research. We see the birds flying. We see the sun. We see the sun go down. And we know that our lives will soon be like the sun. It will come to an end. And the harder we work, we're like light, the speed of light, racing towards our end. And we know that when we die, we're going to be like mom and dad, that we didn't die. We just got to start to live. But now we're going to be with our Lord Jesus Christ. We are dead. Our family that has gone to Jesus is alive. And we don't need research. We understand this instinctively.
Yeah. And shove it. And here's the thing. Mike Brooks is still a Jehovah's Witness, because Jehovah's Witnesses go knock on your door and they destroy your faith in Catholicism. They destroy your faith in Christianity and try to bring you into their religious cult. That's all they do is destroy. And they're always implying that everyone's out to get you. Everyone's lying and going to hurt you. But Mike now has the ultimate truth. Mike knows everything from the beginning of time till today. And he knows that Jesus is a liar. And he's out there just like a Jehovah's Witness, destroying people's faiths, and destroying their love of country. A lot of people loved America before they became Jehovah's Witnesses. But Mike is going to teach you to hate your country, and he's going to teach you to hate Jesus Christ. And so
Yeah, and he,
you know what? A lot of people like, and I'm going to mention his name, and I love him, Tom, J.W. Fairy Tale. They're going to say, well, you know, Mike is nice and he's been good to me. No one is saying anything. No one is saying that he hasn't done good things. No one is saying that. We're just saying the plain obvious. He's destroying people's faith in Jesus Christ. He doesn't have a problem going on yelling and screaming, saying Jesus is a liar and a false prophet. And he's teaching people to hate their country. And he's calling everybody behind me in that map an idolater and a worshiper of the female goddess. What the hell?
Hey, so let's say you were on Normandy Beach in June 6, 1944, or let's say you were on the shot heard around the world in Bunker Hill, or let's say you were there when they were shooting down the flag, when our national anthem was born. And all throughout the American experience, you have seen it with your own eyes that men and women gave their lives so that men could be free, so that we could have a place where men can experiment in self-government. And you go to them, and just right before they die, you know, you died because of the divine feminine.
Yeah.
Truly, I tell you, none of those people died for the divine feminine. They died for your lily white ass, Mike, so that you can spew out all the hate and vitriol that you do every day. And let me tell you something, another thing. Let me tell you about the greatness of Watchtower. And let me tell you about the greatness of Mike Brooks. I really think that they're great in this aspect. Because we have people who hate America and Jesus Christ so much. It's like when you have a garden, if you like gardening, you have to put down fertilizer. And that's what Mike and Watchtower are. They're like fertilizer. And
they're like shit?
Yeah, and we can grow out of it. Something beautiful could come out of it. Because they're giving us the flip side of that coin. They're giving us the hate, the vitriol, the negativism. And now is the time we can preach the Constitution. Now is the time we could preach American exceptionalism. Now we could talk about the greatness of Jesus Christ.
Follow this crap.
Go ahead. So you're saying, like, right there is just he's giving out the fertilizer that you can now use to build something, and say, yes, I'm not going to go down that road. I'm not going to go down that road of hate.
Because he brings up beautiful arguments. I'll say that. Mike Brooks brings up beautiful arguments. He does it in a very disrespectful and hateful and angry manner. But we try to dissect that and listen to his words and go back and study his words. For example, when he's talking about Jesus and talking about, truly I say to you, you know, that the Son of Man, some will not perish before seeing the kingdom of God. Well, maybe Jesus was talking about the transfiguration. Maybe Jesus was talking about the establishment of the church. Maybe Jesus was talking about his resurrection after his death. There's a lot of things. But Mike says, no, Jesus, and he calls Jesus a false prophet, a liar. And so he's treading on very dangerous ground.
So for those of you that just came in, so right there you see Mike spewing out all that shit. And I said, well, like Jesse says, we turned it into fertilizer. So we go to, I said, well, when Mike was saying all that, and he was accusing Jesus of being a liar, I was like, no, Stephen was there and he heard it. He gave his speech right before he died. And he said, look, I see the heavens open and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. So the way I look at it is like, yeah, Stephen actually saw Jesus before he died, just like Jesus had promised. And then I asked my brother Jesse, you think mom and dad saw Jesus before he died? Do you think all those stories are true where people talk about their parents when they died, you know, like they saw something, you know, then they died shortly after? We hear stories like that all the time. And so, and I want to show how, so here's a point. Mike Brooks gets the Bible and he always uses it to destroy you. The difference between Mike Brooks and me is I use Acts 7 to uplift you and saying, you know what happened to Stephen happened to your dad and your grandfather, and it's going to happen to you too. You use it to uplift people. And that's one of the reasons my girlfriend likes me so much, because I always use the Bible to uplift her, to tell her why it's such a privilege for her to make me a sandwich every day. You know, because Jesus, I open up the Bible where Acts 20:20, where it says that there's more happiness in giving than there is in receiving. So go make me a sandwich and be a happy giver. I tell her that all the time.
And you know what? She's privileged among women.
Yes.
Because if she would have chose the older brother,
Yes.
I would make her go fix me a sandwich and next day air it to Yuma, Arizona.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
some women are privileged.
Exactly, and that's the whole point. That when you use the Bible, do you use the Bible to uplift? When you use the Constitution, do you use the Constitution and the Bill of Rights to uplift the human being? But no, a lot of people like Mike Brooks use the Bible to destroy you, and they use the Constitution to destroy you. They're just destructive. And Jesse's right. They're like the shit. Watchtowers like the shit. And used correctly, right? That you put the shit out to pasture, you let the sun kill all those bad germs, and then once it's all nice and hot and all the bad stuff is dead, well then you use it to compost and to fertilize your plants and trees in your lawn. And so that's great analogy, Jesse. And I think that goes to what Rush Limbaugh would always say, that we need people like Mike Brooks, like in the museum.
Liberals.
Like, when you're an ex-Jehovah's Witness, this is what happens to some of you, like a museum piece, and so this is good to have. Like he used like in a museum piece.
And we're also witnessing decay. We're witnessing decay of Western civilization in Mikey's arguments. Because he's bringing down the pillars of society, Jesus Christ and America in our Western civilization. We don't need that right now. We need uplift people. Now is the time to uplift the greatness of America, exceptionalism. Right now is the time to extol the beauty, the beatitudes. Do you know that God, when God sees mankind, for example, Jesus' brother, James, he talks about the only form of worship that God is approved by God is to take care of the widows and the orphans. A lot of people believe that the only type of what God sees in us, not the color of our skin or what's in our heart, but do we follow the Beatitudes? And he wants us to follow them.
You gotta be careful, man. You're using heavy words. Beatitude is like 1,000 pounds. So Beatitudes is Matthew 5, the very beginning of the Sermon on the Mount.
Hold on, can I say one thing?
Yes, go ahead.
Gilbert, look, I take exception to your argument because I hold the people in your comment section on the GG for GB as some of the most researched people.
Well, let's ask those of you in the chat section. Did you know what the Beatitudes were?
Okay. Let's take it to the
I
people.
know what it was. So some of you, some probably didn't know, but that's a big word.
Gilbert, the thorn bush thought it was a manwich.
Oh.
Somehow she thought the Beatitudes was a sandwich.
We're gonna have to. Hey, this girl is getting like past. Yeah. She's like PG, like 13, going on rated R. So,
No, you know what? This is being disrespectful. We're talking about the Beatitudes, and she's bringing up manwich when we're in class.
Yeah, we're in class.
They should be taking notes.
I know. Yeah.
A newlywed couple, especially, we're throwing pearls here.
Exactly. And speaking of pearls, Augustus Stasio, he calls Mike, C.T. Russell, and Kim, Maria Francis Ackley, that they want to be leaders of a religion. That's a stretch for me. I don't think he's trying to become a religious figure. I don't think so. I don't think he's doing a following. So, but I understand where this guy's going.
Gilbert, when a lot of people think that they go, when were you born? But lately I've been dreaming about this, that really when we were born, really we weren't born. Maybe we started to die. Because if you look at the creation, when something is born, really it starts to die. And that's what we studied about God. He says, when you eat from the tree, truly that day you will die. And somehow, when we're attached to God, the energy, we live forever. We're timeless. You can't. Yeah, it's like not Orson Welles, but man, the great British Prime Minister from World War II.
That's heavy, like Orson Welles.
Yeah, Winston Churchill. He said the destiny of man cannot be measured by material computations. You can't measure God. But when human existence, when the soul and the spirit is tied to God, You're timeless. You're beyond. But when we detach from God, we begin to decay until we die.
Mhm.
And when we die, we return to God and we return to timelessness. So maybe now we are dead. Maybe we are in hell. Just seeing it through another prism.
And we are in hell, and I'm going to let you answer this question. Hell is speaking to you. You guys are so weird. What's your obsession with Mike? The vast majority of people don't believe in Jesus and see him as a make-believe character. Does that make them the Antichrist as well? Well, evidently you voted no, that he's not an, and we put a question mark. Is he the Antichrist? And that's just subject for opinion.
You know, Jesus answered that question. He goes, you, out of your words. Because look at his question. It says the anti is a small letter A. It's not a capital A. So we're not saying that Mike Brooks is the Antichrist 666. No, we're not saying that. We're saying that his arguments are being Antichrist against Jesus Christ. Now, we're a couple of Mexicans and we're using the proper form of the Queen's English. We're not saying he's the Antichrist. Now, he wants to call him the Antichrist. He should have capitalized anti.
Correct.
So he's answering it for us. We don't.
And then he goes, what's your obsession with Mike? Hold on a minute. Speaking of Truth Seeker, this guy wants to be the president of the HOA community of Jehovah's Witnesses, and then he wants to go and just destroy everybody's faith while they're leaving the watchtower. And then if like Jesse says, he's not happy being a Benedict Arnold and trashing America. I mean a Judas Iscariot and killing Jesus. He also wants to be a Benedict Arnold. I mean, so what's your obsession with Mike? No. You know, I mean, really, Jesse. I mean, look, he's blaming us, and I'm not the one calling Jesus a liar. I'm not the one calling Jesus a false prophet to people who are leaving the watchtower. I'm not the one telling people to be gay, not be gay. I'm not giving anybody any instructions. And that's how I prefaced it with the very beginning. Our friends who are doing very crazy sexual and non-sexual stuff, but like that you would consider a sin as a Jehovah's Witness, all of those people are on YouTube, ex-Jehovah's Witness. And not one of them is trying to tell you to hate America and hate on Jesus. They're all just telling you their crazy sexual lives and stories. But they're not going on a hate rant that Jesus is a liar. And then Truth Seeker says, you're the problem, Gilbert.
And he talks, every American worships the divine, the feminine divine. And it takes a couple of Mexicans to defend America? Where are you white people at? God damn.
Yeah.
You have to love your country. This is why I keep saying this is end civilization stuff. Look at what's happening in Los Angeles. We say the same thing about the Mexicans burning the American flag. You ain't going to get nowhere being... Remember the Beatles sang about this? But if you go carrying pictures of Chairman Mao, you ain't going to make it with anyone anyhow. You ain't going to get nowhere, Mike, saying that Americans worship the feminine divine. You owe America a little apology. And it takes a couple of Mexican beaners to point that out.
I know. And Jesse, what did you say about the white people? Where are
they? Where art thou?
Where are who?
The white people. The white Jehovah's Witness, ex-Jehovah's Witness in the community.
Hey, boys. Look what I got here. Hey, where are the white women at?
That's us.
Where the white women at?
I'm the sheriff, and you're Gene Wilder, the Waco kid. Except you're not the Waco kid; you're the Waco kid.
No, I bet you that Truth Seeker is, a white boy living in a trailer park somewhere. Come on, get with the program and help us out.
And Gilbert, here's the important thing. This is what we live. We live in exceptional times. And it takes an exceptional people. That's what we are, Americans and Christians. And we haven't quit on the American dream. We haven't. But there's a lot of people. And Mike is a voice for that people, which is fine. Here's the beauty of it. Mike has every right to say the things he does as we do. And we have every right to call him out and say, wait. You profess to be a community, that we're a community. We want to say that, no. Your voice is not accepted in our community. And they're going to say the same thing about you and I, that our voice is not accepted. And fine, touche. But at least let the word go out in 2025 that there was a couple of beaners who said, not in my turf. Mike, there is a line you will not cross. When you start saying Americans worship the feminine divine, come on, Mike. Touche. Let's get it on, bro. And you know what? What did you say that happens? All it takes is for good men to do nothing. What's the word you're always saying? What's that phrase you're always saying? Was it Russell Bertrand that said that?
Who? Oh, no. The only thing necessary for evil to flourish is for good men to do nothing.
Yes. So when somebody says that Americans worship the feminine divine, the Americans should stand up and go, no, Mike, we don't. We believe in American exceptionalism. We believe in the experiment of self-government. Now, is it right? Will the American experiment in self-government fail? Maybe it'll fail. But don't let it be my generation that quit. Mike has evidently quit on it a long time ago. He goes, no, I haven't. Yes, you did, dude. You said that we worship the feminine divine. No, we don't. We live, work, and sacrifice for our brothers and sisters in the America.
Yeah. So we don't hate Mike. He does need an ass kicking for what he said, but we hope that he repents. You never know. He might become a born again preacher again. He might turn another leaf. And but yeah, he does need to repent for the things that he said to about America, and also for being worse than the Jehovah's Witnesses. And that brings us to our poll. Please participate in the poll. Who hates Jesus more, Watchtower or Mike? And that's what Mike. You need to repent. You're destroying people's faiths. Let people just let the chips fall where they may. If people wanna believe in Jesus or don't, that's up to them. They're grown men and women.
And you know what? Something interesting. If you see his face is pained. I mean, and it's almost like he's become a caricature of himself. But you can see the anger when he starts talking about Jesus Christ and the Jehovah's and the argument that Mike brings out. Every man and woman should debate those points. But Mike is not content with debate. He wants to beat it into you.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I would just say, and I'll let you finish with the last word. But if I have anything to say to Mike Brooks, it's this.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
And I know we made fun of you when he says that, that your rant was like shit and it's fertilizer and it's good for uplifting, for rebuilding. And we stand by that. But your suffering is you look at the mirror, you have to just look. And it's all because of your fear, anger, and hate. And it's consumed you. And you've become the thing that you hate. You talk bad about Watchtower, but you become like Watchtower. You're lording over people's faiths. You can't just let people choose their own faith. You can't let people choose their own path. You have to make sure you shit on their path. And we're saying we're going to collect your shit, make a video, and make it useful. So that's what we did. We used your shit as fertilizer.
You know what? I take a lot of joy in Mike's videos come out and pop in my feed, and so I watch it. And I follow it, and I try to follow it intellectually and dissect his words when he's not yelling and screaming and everything. But I really love his arguments because they strengthen my faith in America. They strengthen my faith as a Christian. Now, I'm not saying I'm a Christian pastor. I'm not saying that I'm not a sinner, that I don't cuss and everything. But I do know one thing. Mike's arguments are so intellectually weak. They are a super, super, super minority of Western civilization's thought. So he picks up on the most damaging, the most cancerous towards Western civilization teachings, and he expounds on them and he blows them up, like the teachings of Jesus Christ that he cites in the scripture, that Jesus' words, he's a liar, false prophet. No way. Maybe you're just interpreting it different, but you can't open a dialogue with this individual. And that's why he's uniquely not Christian and he's uniquely not American. He's authoritarian. Another point about that is that in the American agenda, in the American debate, in the American pageant, there's always been a back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Mike is uniquely not a back and forth. He likes to destroy people's. Like, what does he win by bringing down Jesus Christ? And the argument about the divine feminine, what did he win in that night by doing that to people who love their country? Is he better than the Ayatollahs?
Now, Jesse, we're gonna probably let it end with 587. Paul and Annabelle, our sister Annabelle and Paul, they're Jehovah's Witnesses. Guess what? They're talking amongst themselves, thinking, you know what, honey, maybe we should reconsider this Jehovah's Witness thing. And then along comes 587 and says, at this point, Watchtower's views on the scripture are more accurate than Mike's. No joke. JWs who view Mike and Kim's stuff will run back to the cult.
You know what? A lot of people say that Mike really hurting. And I don't feel bad saying this, and they can attack me all they want. They can say, but he's the one who uses the word community. He's the one who keeps saying the word community. You in the community? Okay. The community's talking back.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say a bad word, but no. But now the community's talking back.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying, yeah, you're chasing Jehovah's Witnesses back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maverick said that.
Yeah, 587. But I have hope. I think Mike will be a born again preacher. He'll find Jesus.
Can I just conclude? Me and you have talked about this a lot. And I don't know if the word was irony. I don't think the word is irony, but I love in life, there's always a point, a counterpoint.
Mm-hmm.
You and I, when we were kids, we used to watch TV and we used to watch that movie. Remember what was the point, counterpoint? Oh, no, that was Airplane. Remember? They bought the ticket, let him crash. Mm-hmm. And so we always liked a good scrap, a good debate. And this is the beauty about being a Christian and a beauty about being a true American and a true Christian, is that we enter into the area of exchanging of ideas. And in the Christian debate where Mike has an idea, he could bring it out. And rightfully so, we could debate that. We could talk about it. And that's what we're doing today. It's going to go back to Mike, and he's going to ignore us. And he's going to say, I don't listen to them, because they think they're real uppity. They won't listen to these Mexicans. Hey, we were in the Spanish congregation in the 70s and 60s. We know what it's like. Mm-hmm. We know that you whites, English Jehovah's Witnesses, you hate us Mexicans.
Yeah.
We know that. We understand that. We saw it with our own eyes. We weren't welcome in the English congregation when we were kids. We understand that. But the other point I was saying, in America, for example, hold on, we had freedom of speech, freedom of thought, exchange of ideas. Mm-hmm. But the reason we hate communists in the United States of America is because part of their belief, their dogma, is the elimination of free speech. So that's the dilemma, the irony in Christianity and Americanism, exceptionalism, is that we always have this group of people who want to eliminate our right to speak. But yet we live under different rules. We have to allow the communists the right to speak. But when they come into power, they want to eliminate our right to speak. So there's an irony. It's like Muslims. They grow into a country and they want to, we're a minority. They reach a certain point and they want to take over.
Yeah. So I'm gonna show you this clip, and then you can go back and explain why, because you're the one that brought it up. Right? You're the one that brought it up.
Shayna, they bought their tickets. They knew what they were getting into. I say, let them crash.
So why did you say they bought the ticket?
Who's that?
You said that.
They bought the ticket. Let them crash. That was the point that they were making. That they were the movie was doing everything to try to save the souls on that plane. That was the movie. But the dilemma was going back to, and they're mocking American journalism at that time. Mm-hmm. There were shows that gave the counterpoint. And so here you have something so noble, saving the lives and the souls of everybody on this endangered plane. And along comes this political pundit who says, wait a second, they bought the ticket, let them crash. And that's what's unique about the Christian spirit. This is the beauty of the American spirit. This is why when I see Mike, I get so happy. I get so happy. When Mike shits on America and on Jesus, I get so happy because it makes my faith in Christ greater. It's like that pundit said, let them crash, because we understand that everything outside of God is decay. Why are you going to expect perfection in the Bible? Why are you going to expect perfection in research? Why are you going to, in mathematics, in any endeavor in life, when you have isolated yourself or detached yourself from God? We are in living decay. The only consolation we have is that God never decays. The only consolation we have as everything in the universe decays. But yet everything in the universe has one consolation, that person outside of our universe never decays. God never dies. Mike is going to die. I'm going to die. You're going to die. The sun's going to go down and we're going to die. And tomorrow there'll be a new day. But God will always live forever. And he has a son named Jesus Christ. So the more we hold on to him, the stronger we will be, or the more hope we have against decay. The same thing with our nation. God has made the nations. The more we hold on to this nation, this experiment in self-government, we're never perfect. There's nothing perfect. But the more perfect union we can be.
So let's finish it. Man, I said 30 minutes, and then I look back and it says 1 hour now. Dang.
Fine.
The thing is, he just says, I've done the research, then offers no reference, just wild statements that you can't challenge him on. And a lot of people do that, huh? Everyone talks about the research.
But Gilbert, we talked about the research. Everybody who researched got vaccinated. Everybody who researched put the face mask on. People
they all
say,
have PhDs.
you know what?
And they do the dance.
Anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-Semitic. If I lived in Nazi Germany, I would have told Hitler. No, you wouldn't have. You couldn't even take off the face mask. And you're going to tell Hitler something? You're going to tell the communists something? It was an IQ test and everybody failed.
Yeah. They all did the research and nobody knows where Tiffany's at. Remember, like, where's Waldo? There's a girl. I don't want to mention her name because the CIA might come out, but her last name is Dover. Her first name is Tiffany. And she, she drank the Kool-Aid and then bam, fell down. And then nobody can find her. And these are all PhD people. These are all people that went to college. They did all the research. They have RNs, PhD, they're doctors. They all have those 3-4 letter things, right? They got all the badges and they wear all the perfect uniforms, but they all drank the Kool-Aid.
Gilbert, have you ever lost something and you holding it in your hand? As you get older, we forget things. And you're looking all over the house and you forgot you had it in your hand or you put it in your pocket and then you reach in there and it's right there. When you spent maybe an hour looking for it.
Yeah.
You know, Mike does all this research, and rightfully so. He's only hurting himself. But he has Jesus in his heart. All he has to do is let go. And it will lift a weight off of his shoulders. But you know what? The Spirit of God in us, in our words, is just going to make it stronger in him. And he's going to hate God more and Jesus Christ, just to prove us stupid Mexicans wrong. Because he heard us stupid Mexicans talking about Jesus and God, he's going to go hate Jesus and God more. And that's one thing we found out about Jehovah's Witness apostates in our family. If we would have shut our pie hole, maybe our family would have already been apostates. But just to prove us wrong, these 2 elders from Yuma, they're going to stay in our town, of all the apostasy work we have done. Nobody has left the Jehovah's Witnesses.
So what you're saying, your message to Mike Brooks is this?
Use the Force, Luke. Let go.
Is that what you're trying to tell him?
Let
go of the hate, the anger?
Yes. Did you remember when I said that when Mike Brooks talks, I love it? When he goes on his rant, I love it because it makes me a better American. It makes me a better Christian listening to him. Because I say, thank God I'm not in his shoes. And so hate. He's almost walking in a literal physical hell right now. so alienated from God. You go, wow, if I choose this dark path, I'll be like Mike. You have to embrace love. You have to love your country. You have to love your neighbor. You have to love your family. You got to love your enemies. Jesus is right. It's impossible for a mortal. It's impossible for a mortal. I don't have to do no research. I know that it's impossible for a mortal to come up with a teaching that you must love your enemies. It could only have been God.
Hey, speaking of that, Jesse, because I had to rip in on my girlfriend because she was all mad at me because like I brought up my ex-girlfriend and my ex-wife, you know, so hey. And I pray for them. I pray for my ex-girlfriend, my ex-wife, and I had to put her in her place. And I says, well, do you pray for your ex-boyfriends? Do you pray for your ex-husband? She didn't. So I had to put her in her place. You know, I'm not, you know, I don't wish, I'm just saying, but you know, I pray. I don't want to be in an angry, I wish happiness upon everybody, no matter how, you know, they say, well, they rode you dirty. Remember like that?
Jeremiah, right?
Jeremiah, he was riding dirty. Okay, that's fine. But I don't want to, I want to forgive my enemies. And I'm glad you reminded me because I had to put her in her place. I mean, she was like,
and you know what? You and I have fought over this because you really believe, and see, we come from two different schools. You believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And
no, I know Jesus
about
Christ is the Son of God. Yeah.
You know Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And I know that Jesus Christ is God. And we've gotten in some vicious fights over that because you've been wrong and I've been right about this subject.
Yeah.
And yet we were able to expound it, argue it, debate it.
Now let's argue this last point, then we'll go. 587 wants to come on the next time. And the next show is going to be the next show. Let me see
in a few minutes.
No, the next show. I don't know if you're going to see. Check this out. You want to see what the next show is?
Yeah.
The next show
is it the slam dunk?
Yes, it's Tucker Carlson posterizes Ted Cruz. That's our next show. We're going to do it tomorrow.
Gilbert, look. But if you notice Tucker Carlson, I think he's going to do a windmill jam.
Yes. So Tucker Carlson posterizes Ted Cruz, and we're going to tell you the Jehovah's Witness spin. Forget all of the political. Why you as a Jehovah's Witness need to understand how Tucker Carlson posterized Ted Cruz, and yet we still love Ted Cruz, you know. But sometimes you win and sometimes you lose.
Gilbert, can I tell you another dynamic about this?
Go ahead.
And I've thought about this a lot, about the divinity of Jesus Christ.
Okay, go ahead.
Because you and I, Mike Brooks, Barack Obama, you name your favorite, George Bush, we all are sinners. And we've all done bad things. Politicians, crack hoes, lot lizards, we're all sinners. But Jesus said that all that stuff is forgiven. Like when Mike was talking bad about America, or when Mike talked bad about Jesus, Mike really is still our brother. Because Jesus says that only sinning against the Holy Spirit is something that maybe you're crossing a threshold. So when Mike brings up this about Jesus Christ, maybe in the eyes of God, it is acceptable, and we can accept it too, using the words of Christ. Okay, why does Mike Brooks say this about Jesus Christ? And so we dissect it. So that's why I always said that I get happy when Mike says something, because he says something that should be explored by Christians and dissected.
Shaq, Mikey's on the road to Damascus. He might need to have a Jesus moment. That's exactly what you're talking about.
Or I don't care if he has a Jesus moment, but he has a right as an American and as a Western civilization to expound those views. But Jesus says that when we sin against the Holy Spirit, that's not permissible. But I don't think that the arguments that Mike made cross that threshold. I don't think so. I think they're questions that should be brought.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're just going to see about arguing on this subject. And I'm going to see what you have to say. Gigi, I need to come on next time. Well, we have a policy here in our show. And we don't have guests come on, like, the link like other people do. Because you want to tell them, Jesse?
Yeah, because this is the GG for GB show.
Yeah.
And there's only 2 members in our church.
Yeah.
It's a small club and you're not in it.
Yeah. But he's
But-
he just wants to peek in, so we might open up the door for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I'll vote for it.
Yeah.
Hey, but now this gentleman by the name of Chad,
Mhm.
he reveals a truth. I really think this is gold.
Yeah.
Now, Gilbert, he has a point. It says,
Own a mobile home park and tell me about loving your enemy.
no, he's right. So he sees things that we don't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
a-
understand.
yeah.
And
That's
you know
a-
what?
That's
No,
deep.
Chad,
Yeah,
we
I
would
know.
not argue against you. We would not. We would agree with you. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we've been in a lot of Jesse Moore on a lot of mobile home parks in Yuma, Arizona. So,
Now, I will say this, because a lot is given to 587 Maverick. A lot will be expected of him.
mhm,
Because does he know the rules of a great talk show?
mhm.
Does he understand the rules like I understand the rules?
Yeah, the
My
rules
job and my one and only job in this show is to make the host look good,
which is me. Yeah.
the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, Gilbert. And
And-
everybody knows of all the Jehovah's Witnesses on the planet, Gilbert is the most benevolent,
Yes, I am. And magnanimous.
magnanimous.
Yeah. And I was telling my girlfriend I want to change my name to Maximiliano instead of Gilbert. Just
Mhm.
what do you think? I don't know. Just
Well, I was thinking about changing my name from Primero Americano
Mhm.
to I was thinking about changing my name to
Mhm.
JG is GB.
Okay.
But that means I would usurp your authority. And I don't
Right,
want to
that's
do that.
So, hey, thanks. It is going to be nice to hear what he has to say, because that topic is going to be so great. We're going to talk about how this is what men do. A lot of men can't, and I've seen it. You go to all of these ex-Jehovah's Witness YouTube channels, and a lot of them have one thing in common. Not all of them, a lot of them have one thing in common. Men don't know how to fight, beat each other up, and then drink a beer afterwards. Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz kicked each other's ass on both sides. It was both. They were both hitting hard. But and I don't want to show it here.
Gilbert, but why is it necessary that Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz kick each other's ass? Why is it necessary in the American experiment? Because the arguments couldn't be of greater consequence.
Mhm.
And this is the thing, that the reason I'm like that song, torn between two lovers, feeling like a fool, loving both of you is breaking all the rules. And I'm sorry, I don't sing like Mary, what's her name, that sang that song.
Go ahead.
But Tucker Carlson has a little bit of Elon Musk in him. And you know what? I should save it for that. But he has a little bit of Elon Musk in him, a little bit of that little boy in school who doesn't get his way and takes his ball home. Tucker
Yes.
Carlson has a little bit of that. And Tucker Carlson is new to the debate. Tucker Carlson is new to the conservative debate. He just recently came out and he wants victory now. And that's very commonplace in conservative circles. And when they don't get their way, they're ready to take the ball home. And there's a little bit of Tucker Carlson, that in Tucker Carlson.
And the reason we're showing you that, and is a prelude of what's going to happen in the future, is that what you were seeing there, what Jesse was talking, is that they're going to be the best of friends. Sometimes you need to kick each other's ass. You need to fight. You need to just beat each other up so you could have the friendship that Ali and George Foreman had. There's just no other way. And Donald Trump loves Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson loves him, but they need to get it out. Everyone, same thing with Elon Musk. They need to get it out. And this is what real men understand. And a lot of times in the ex-Jehovah's Witness community, a lot of guys get, oh my God, the fighting. Fighting is good when men do it. When women do it, not good. Unless you're recording it and doing a Girls Gone Wild video and selling it for $19.99 on a DVD special. But that's another, remember those days?
Yeah. Hey, Gilbert, and
Yeah, no.
Thornbush likes my singing.
Yeah, no. So I think I might have to kick her out because she was pushing the lines going from PG-13 to.
Oh, she was?
Yeah, she was almost going rated R on the show. Yeah.
Well, I did. I said the bad word once.
Oh, that's right. You did. Yeah. But she was doing, but anyways, but no. It's all fun. We had a good time. And we have a lot, and I'm glad she did it because we were showing everybody, even though it got a little sexy over there.
Hey, we have
a good time. Mm-hmm.
We have a poll. What did it come out?
Oh, yeah. So what do you think the poll is, Jesse?
It was close last time I saw, like 75, 35, or 25, or something like that.
Okay, let me see if I have it here. Okay, end the poll. Oh my gosh, Jesse. Look at that. It is 54-45. Mike, just wow. But it's like it's split down the middle.
Almost down the middle. It's not low landslide victory like Donald Trump says, like electoral victory. Yeah.
And just before, Mike, before you get upset, that poll was not a scientific poll. We want to get that clear. It wasn't It
wasn't a scientific poll. It wasn't the Council of Nicaea.
Yeah.
No. Or it wasn't Constantine.
It wasn't a Constantine poll. Yeah, no. We didn't get an approval from Constantine or anything like that. Yeah. So just in case there's any Constantine lovers here, So
yeah.
All right. Okay. Hey, but Jesse, I think we know what we're gonna talk about the next one, whether it's tomorrow, the next day, or Saturday.
Dunk on
but that posterize and what it means for real men, and we don't need to be shitting on Ted Cruz or Tucker Carlson. I love Ted Cruz. Guess who they both shitted on? Rand Paul. He takes a lot of crap, but I love Rand Paul too. But you know what? They hit him hard.
Look at. Let me comment on the last point.
Ruby is no longer on the Trump train,
and that's what I was saying about Elon Musk.
That's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. There's a lot of people like that. They're newcomers, and they weren't there when they crucified our Lord. They weren't there when they shot Abraham Lincoln.
Jesse, you know what they are? Ruby is no longer on the Trump train. Ruby is like an ex-Jehovah's Witness who says, "What? I can play the lottery." And so she puts $2 in or $1.02 in the machine, and she gets pissed off that she didn't win. But other people have been playing the lottery for 10, 20 years.
Man, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, I get pissed off all the time. I pray to God, show me the money. And but other people have been playing a lot longer. Go ahead.
We have a stalker, Hangman 821. We don't know where he's from, New Mexico or what. But he keeps saying that I go to the casino. So I wonder if he's stalking me personally. How does he know I go to where I go?
And what do you always play at the casino? I know what you play. You play poker. There's nothing, you know what? I love the casino. When I, like in Las Vegas, I go get a nice beer, I find out who has good beer first draft that I want to drink. And then I'll sit down and I'll play poker, video poker while I'm drinking my beer.
How did you know I play poker?
Because I went with you to the casino a couple times, but
hey, and I suck at 21. Yeah. Okay.
That's right. So maybe we'll have a poll. The next poll will be, should we allow 587 on the show?
Okay.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. 587.
But hey, no, we love Ruby, but it's nice to throw a nice jab at her. But she'll be
and that's good because Ruby brings in a lot of very good information. Yeah, and so when she's mad, we could dissect why.
Yeah.
And here's the thing I really think that what's happening with Ruby is she's very young. And I noticed Jimmy has a lot of patience.
Way more than you and me.
Yeah, a lot. And I think Jimmy understands in the political corner, the show that they have, it's a great show. Everybody ought to be on it. But I think that Jimmy understands that younger people, they want victory now. Yeah.
I have no patience like Jimmy. Jimmy has patience. Jimmy has patience here. I'm like, yeah. And that's fine. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying we don't have that. We don't have that patience,
Yeah. And so it makes for a great show.
It does.
There's a good back and forth. Yeah.
Good for them. Right. Yeah. And hopefully we'll have patience for 587. We'll see you on the next one when we talk about The JW connection when Tucker Carlson posterizes Ted Cruz. Photo is courtesy of Chat GPT. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Honey, is my sandwich ready? Okay, so I got to go, guys.